Well, hello and welcome to the last Studio 45 broadcast of 2020. And of course, next year we'll be starting with 2021 and it's going to be awesome. But we hope that you guys had a great Christmas. We have loved celebrating Christmas. As a matter of fact, that's been our big idea this whole month. Christmas is celebrating Jesus, God's greatest gift. And we're going to continue the celebration today. Even though the season is winding down, we're going to have a lot of fun together. Now, we want you guys to play a game at home. This is a really fun game that we like to call Snowman Bowling. Yeah, it's pretty epic, right? So what you guys are going to do is you are going to build a snowman, but not just any snowman. You're going to build a snowman out of toilet paper. Yeah, check that out. That's awesome, right? So you'll need 3 rolls of toilet paper and you can decorate it. We use some pipe cleaners and put some fun stuff on their face to make it, but you can decorate this, okay? And what you'll do is you'll need 2 of these snowmen and you will get your family together. You'll divide into 2 teams and you'll stand across from each other. And then with another roll, you are going to bowl to try to knock the snowman down. Now, when we've tried it, it helps if you don't set the snowman up perfectly straight. If you kind of offset it a little bit, that helps him stay a little unbalanced. So when he gets hit, it's really fun when he falls over. Well, hey, that was super fun. We hope that you guys had fun playing at home. If you did, we'd love for you to share it on social media and tag us in it. But hey, we've got a really great story coming up that's all about how we can have peace.
The Bible is more than a single book. It's a collection of 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry written by dozens of different authors over thousands of years that all come together to tell one big story. It's a bigger story than you can even imagine. It's a big story about a really big God and what He did to rescue us. It shows us who we are and what we were created to do. Discover the story that shows you the character of God.
You know, I think one of the hardest parts about Christmas is when it all has to come down and go back in the box. You know what's interesting is Christmas, we've been talking about this month, is celebrating Jesus, God's greatest gift. And I love the celebration. For us, when we get out the ornaments and set up the tree at our house, it's a noisy affair. We get out the lights, we remember when we got the ornaments, we talk about where we want to put everything this year. The kids talk about what's on their Christmas list, and it's very noisy and it's fun. But after Christmas, it always tends to be a little bit quieter when everything has to get put away. You know, we're talking about celebrating Jesus. It makes sense that the celebration should be loud. But I think one of my favorite parts about Christmas, as hard as it is to put everything away, is the quiet that comes from putting things away. You know, we've got the nativity set here that I was getting ready to put away. And of course, we've talked about Mary. You know, we talked about her first, and we talked about how God came to her through an angel, Gabriel, and he told her the good news that she was going to have a baby, and that baby was going to be the Messiah. And we talked about how Joseph, Joseph didn't know at first what to do, but then an angel told him to marry Mary, and that he was going to help raise the Son of God. How exciting is that? You know, and then often when we set up the nativity, you see the wise men. We don't always talk about the wise men, but the wise men would have had to travel a really long way to see the baby. And they brought their gifts and they came to see Jesus. And some people think actually that the wise men probably would have gotten there when Jesus was a little bit older, but it's fun to see them at the nativity scene and see the gifts that they brought Jesus. And I love the story of the wise men. And then of course, you know, you've got the donkey, and Mary may have rode that on the way to Bethlehem. And of course, you've got the cattle, and they're lowing, but don't worry, the baby won't awake. And of course, the person who it's all about, celebrating Jesus. I love in the nativity set, as we put it away, to spend some time looking at the figure of a baby Jesus laid in a manger. But there's somebody else that's a part of the nativity that we're going to talk about today. That's the shepherd. The shepherds are part of the nativity, but I think sometimes we might forget how important their story is and how big of a deal it is for us as we end 2020 and go into 2021. You know what I love about the shepherds is the shepherds weren't necessarily expecting to come to the party. In fact, they weren't necessarily expecting to celebrate. I told you that for my family, we always start Christmas really, really loud. But for the very first Christmas, the shepherds started it very, very quiet. They would have been out watching their sheep at night, and they would have been just another normal, everyday night. Okay, my favorite part about the Christmas services. Can I tell you? Well, the truth is, every year I love seeing the animals. But my favorite part comes after the Christmas Eve services are over. In fact, let me grab my jacket, and if you don't mind, I'll just take you with me, and I'll show you. Whew, it's cold outside. I wanted to come out here because I wanted to talk about my favorite part about our Christmas services. I love seeing the kids, and I love being able to tell the story of Christmas, and I love the live animals. But something you might not know about live animals is when we put down the things to keep our environments clean, eventually we have to take all that out. And usually every Christmas Eve or Christmas services, that's about the last thing our staff does. And so every year I get together, and usually it's just me and one other staff member or volunteer, and we take all the stuff that we had down to protect the floor and we take it out. Now, if you can imagine having live animals for multiple services, it's not the cleanest job, it's not the most glamorous job, but I love it because it reminds me of the shepherds. I mean, think about it. The shepherds did not have glamorous jobs. They were outside watching their sheep. But the thing I love about taking it out is every year on my way back in, most of the time, by we get to that point, everybody's gone. It's really, really quiet. The church lights have been shut off, and I'm just left outside in the cold winter air, usually looking at the stars and thinking about the shepherds. It was a silent night that first Christmas, and they were out in the fields watching their sheep when all of a sudden things changed forever. And the angels appeared in the sky, and the shepherds were scared. But what did the angel say? I love this. The angel said in Luke chapter 2, he says, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He's the Messiah, the Lord." And then suddenly, a large group of angels from heaven also appeared. The glory, they sang, "May glory be given to God in the highest heaven, and may peace be given to those he is pleased with on earth." So you might be wondering why that's my favorite part of the Christmas services. But really, I think the reason is because it's a time for me to pause. See, most of the time it's crazy Christmas decorations, crazy Christmas fun, and then I have a time to pause. But for the shepherds, it was opposite. For the shepherds, it was quiet, and then came the loud praises of the angel. But yet, they were able to have peace. And I think maybe it's because they had the right order. See, they were quiet, and they could hear the invitation. You and I are invited to be a part of God's story. That's what we talk about. That's what Christmas is all about. But think about that for a moment. At the end of the day, no matter what craziness might be ahead in 2021, the truth is that we can have peace because on a quiet night, God stepped onto the pages of history as a baby boy. And he lived the perfect life that we could never live. And we can trust God no matter what. Just like the angel said, "Do not be afraid. I bring you good news."
Man, that was an incredible story, and I'm so happy that God's peace is for everyone and that he used the shepherds to carry his message out. That is just awesome. That is good news. Well, that makes me think about today's question. You guys know what to say. Reveal the question. That's so fun. It never gets old doing that. All right, today's question is, what does it mean to have peace? What does it mean to have peace? So, whoever you're watching with, whether it's your mom, your dad, your brother or sister, ask each other this question and talk about your answers of what does it mean to have peace. That wraps up our service for today. You'll want to make sure to tune in again next week because we are starting a brand new big idea for the month. And not only that, but we'll have a way, whether you're in person or if you're watching online, you'll be able to participate and join in the fun. So don't miss it.